we're going to be decoding that subtle, unspoken language of attraction. You know, it's a language we all try to read, but let's be honest, we often get it wrong. And this is the question that drives us crazy, isn't it? You're in the middle of a great conversation, you feel a connection, but you just can't be sure. Are they just being friendly and polite, or is there a real spark there? That little bit of doubt can be, well, pretty maddening. But what if you had a kind of toolkit, a set of clear signals you could look for? Well, that's what we're doing here. We're going to break down 4 really powerful signs that can cut through all that noise and help you see what's actually going on. So let's start with our very first sign. I call this one the memory test. And it's interesting because this one isn't about body language. It's all about what their brain decides to hang on to. So what's happening here, psychologically, is a phenomenon called hyperfocus. When we're attracted to someone, our brain essentially puts a spotlight on them. It pays, as the source material says, 110% attention. And because of that, it starts absorbing and holding on to these tiny little details that most people would just let go of. Let me give you a perfect real-world example. Picture this. A guy and a woman are just talking. That's a casual, brief conversation. At what point, she asks him when his birthday is. He tells her, the topic changes, and they move on. Seems totally forgettable, right? But then, fast forward about 2 or 3 months, a long time. And suddenly, on his birthday, his phone lights up with a text from her. She actually remembered. One little detail from one brief conversation was stored away and recalled weeks and weeks later. His immediate thought, and this is a direct quote from the source, was, "How the hell does she remember my birthday?" And that's really the heart of it. When someone remembers the little things, you know, a random story you told, your favorite coffee, your birthday, it is a huge sign that their brain has flagged you as someone important. Okay, our second sign takes us away from memory and into the world of hidden body language. And we're going to look at a part of the body that most people never ever think to control: their feet. Think about it. We're all pretty good at managing our facial expressions, our hand gestures, but our feet? They tend to tell the unfiltered truth. They act like this unconscious compass, pointing directly where our mind really wants to go. It's an incredibly difficult signal to fake. And honestly, it's this simple. If you're talking to someone and their feet are pointed squarely at you, it's a nonverbal cue that they are engaged, they're interested, and they want to continue the conversation. But if their feet are angled away, maybe toward the door or another group of people, that's a subconscious sign they're looking for an exit. They might be, as our source puts it, dying to get away. All right, on to sign number 3. This is another one of those subconscious signals, but this one is all about building connection and rapport. It's known as the mirror effect. So what is mirroring exactly? Well, it's our brain's automatic way of saying, "Hey, I got you. We're in sync. We're on the same team." When we feel a really strong connection with somebody, we just subconsciously start to adopt their mannerisms. It's this powerful, almost primal way of building rapport. Here's a super simple, classic example. Imagine you're at a table and you just casually pick up your glass and take a sip of water. You put it down, a few moments pass, and you notice they do the exact same thing. It wasn't a conscious choice. It was their brain just automatically responding to that feeling of connection with you. And, you know, this goes way beyond just physical actions. Start to listen to how they speak to you. If you're a naturally fast talker, do you notice them speeding up a bit to match you? If you have a calmer, lower tonality, do they start to match that? Mirroring your vocal patterns is an even more subtle and honestly more powerful indicator of attraction. Okay, let's move on to our 4th and final sign, the touch test. Now, this is probably the most direct signal of them all because it involves intentionally crossing that physical barrier that exists between two people. So the key here is that someone who likes you will actively look for small, socially appropriate excuses to make physical contact. They want to create a deeper connection, and as the source says, the best way to feel you is by touching you. So they're looking for a reason, any reason, to invade your personal space in a welcome way. But let me be really clear. Context is everything here. If you're playing a sport and you accidentally bump into each other, that means absolutely nothing. But if you're in the middle of a conversation and they lightly touch your forearm to emphasize a point, that is significant. Or if you make a joke and they laugh and give you a little playful push, that is a classic example of finding an excuse to initiate contact. So we've just covered 4 very distinct signs, but the real skill here isn't just in spotting one of them by itself. It's about learning how to step back and see the whole picture. See, any one sign could just be a fluke, right? A coincidence. But when you start seeing 2, 3, or maybe even all 4 of these signals working together, well, that's when the message becomes incredibly clear. You're not just seeing random actions anymore, you're seeing a consistent pattern of attraction. So let's put our entire toolkit together one last time. You'll notice they passed the memory test, remembering those small details. You'll glance down and see their feet are pointed towards you. You'll see them subconsciously mirroring your actions, your speech, and finally, they'll find those little excuses to make physical contact, passing the touch test. Ultimately, these signs give you a brand new lens to see your interactions through. They empower you to move past all of the guesswork and start seeing this hidden language of attraction that's playing out right in front of you. So the only question left is, now that you know the signs, what are you going to notice first?